Good to have you aboard here. Well, listen, it's a building block. Very important. 2 out of 3 at Citi Field against a very good Mets team. Makes you feel pretty good over the weekend. Let's start with that. Go ahead.
Series you really need. This was a series we really needed. You know, we've had a real rough 2-week stretch. We've played some of the best teams in baseball for most of the last 5 weeks, facing a lot of tough pitching. So coming out of the Citi Field series with a victory against the Mets, that's just huge for us. We needed it. It was a shot in the arm, and hopefully we can use it to create some momentum.
100%. How come the Mariners have had? I know they're a good team, but boy, oh boy, this ineptitude in Houston has really got to get you going here. Explain that for me, Jerry, if you can. They have a lot of trouble at Minute Maid. How come?
You know, I don't know the answer to that question. Right now, I would tell you it's because the Astros pitching has mostly been awesome for about the last 3 weeks. They're pitching like it's 1902 and they're the White Sox or something. But they've been a very good team to an elite team for quite a few years. You know, we've had some success in recent time here at home, and we've had a difficult time winning there in Houston, and that's going to be a big hump for us to get over if we want to be a contender in this division.
Like the pitching, though, that you have, let's do some positive stuff. You know, Kirby's from up here, so everybody in Rye, New York has been frolicking here at Citi Field and followed him out there in Seattle. So that's number one. He's pitched well. Gilbert's very good. Ray's got a high ERA, but you know you're going to get out of him. You got to be very pleased with your starting rotation here so far, Jerry. Thoughts there? Go ahead.
Yeah, you know, coming into the year, we were really excited about our rotation and our young pitching, you know, with guys like George Kirby, Logan Gilbert, who I think has been one of the best starters in the league, you know, for about the last year now. It's not that it should be sneaking up on people anymore. You know, we do have some talent in our system, guys that are right there at the doorstep that have either already been here and struggled or should contribute soon. That's one of the best parts of our team is the youth and the upside of our pitching. And, you know, George and Logan are pretty emblematic of what we have going on. It's physical stuff. They throw strikes, they can miss bats, and both of them have shown maturity at a very early stage in their careers.
Yeah, Kirby pitched pretty well the other night with not a lot of defensive support, so let's give him credit there. And how about Kelnick, who you had to send down? You know, he didn't hit well last year, and he's been in the 150s this year, so you got to begin to wonder now if he can hit big league pitching. I know you still have high hopes. Thoughts with him for a second. Let me hear. Go ahead.
Well, you have to. I know the reaction to a player being sent down or even struggling for as long as Jared has. His struggles have been real and they've been amplified by the fact that they've happened, you know, under a little bit of scrutiny or a microscope, so to speak. But you know, he's still one of the youngest players in the major leagues. And, you know, we just talked about George Kirby making his debut. I think Jared's about a year and a half younger than George. So he ascended to the major leagues very, very quickly. He has struggled to really adapt to major league pitching, but the skills are great. You know, he's got big tools and just needs to go back and have a little bit of fun in AAA and remember that he's a good player because he is.
There you have it. All right, 16-19. You were 11-6, and now you're on the other side of it, and you got 2 teams ahead of you. You haven't played the Angels yet. You can play a lot of those games with them in condensed time frames because you missed a series early. You know, listen, you're not thinking about wild card, and I know you didn't even think about playoffs, period, but you can't let 2 teams get off too quick because if that's the case, you got to have both not play well for you to join the party for a divisional championship. So you're 2 behind 2, not just 1. Take on the division for the Seattle team right now. Let me hear.
You know, we can't really focus on what the Astros and the Angels are doing right now. We can only focus on ourselves. They're off to tremendous starts, and if we focus on what they're doing, winning at a 650 clip, it's going to seem like too tall a hill to climb. My guess is they'll come back a little bit, will improve and become more consistent. And like I said, you know, it will start with being better against those teams in their ballparks. And that's what lies ahead of us. We feel like we have the talent to compete and just need to get on track, get healthy and play the best teams when we're going good.
I know the center fielder got off to a slow start, but we all saw him this weekend here in New York. This kid's going to be, Willie Mays, a little strong, but this kid's got a chance to be a heck of a player here, Jerry. Thoughts with Rodriguez here. What can you tell me?
Again, young. It's off to a slow start. Lasted about 2 weeks. You know, since the 3rd week in April. He's the second youngest player in the big leagues. incredibly talented. I think a consensus top 2 or 3 prospect in the league coming into the season. And really, he hasn't disappointed. And he's just now getting going with the bat. The defense, the base running, what he's doing from a physical aspect with his body have been phenomenal. And really the energy and the personality with which he plays is, I think it's something the game needs. I know it's something the Mariners need, and really has been, a special couple of weeks for Julio as he kind of catches his footing and he's off to such a good start here.
Couple of dramatic moves by your manager yesterday. I'm sure you were pacing somewhere in an office building watching that ninth inning infield in with runners at second and third, only up a run, little bloop single. You lose the game. That worked out with Marte up there. And then he walked the bases loaded with Castillo, who can walk a lot of people, yet he struck out Alonso. Maybe it's a little unorthodox thinking in the manager's dugout, which gets a team on track down the road. Give me some thoughts on those moves. Let me hear. Go ahead.
I think the thing that gets your team on back on the right track after some struggle, and no one has struggled on our club anymore in recent weeks than Diego Castillo, is just trusting your players. And I think that's what Scott did. He put Diego, who's been in more of those situations than any other pitcher we have. He put him in the biggest moment in the game when it was we were up against it, and he came up huge. And sometimes you have to do dramatic things and just shake it up in order to get the momentum going. And we played far too well in that series to be undone by a poor ninth inning. And it was shaping up that way. And good for Diego for reeling it back in, and good for Scott for showing a little trust in the player to put him in that kind of situation, because it wasn't easy.
Could be a dramatic turning point, that win. That was a heck of a ninth inning. Great job, Jerry. Always a pleasure to talk to you. Thanks for so much time. Keep in touch.
You got it, Doug.